Hey everybody, it's Daryl, Louisiana Simple Living. What I wanted to do is just kind of remind everybody about some of the fundamentals. If maybe during this spring and you hadn't had as good a success as you wanted, there's a few fundamentals let's talk about and make sure we're covering. These are mistakes I made when I didn't know what the heck I was doing. So just kind of wanted to pass some of these things on. Number one, great soil trumps everything else. If you don't have good soil with nutrients that's friable loose, but that also drains, then you're going to have a hard time having success with a good bountiful harvest. So what you do is you go to, let's say you go to Clegg's or you go to wherever your local nursery is, you buy a beautiful tomato plant, whatever it may be. They're going to have the soil and they're going to have the nutrients in growing that seedling and transplant. But you go and you put it out here in your garden and your soil's not very good, you're just not going to have as much success. Your plant's not going to look as good as it was when you got it. So just remember that soil trumps everything. Good soil trumps everything. And number two, and it kind of ties into it, good soil is made by you as the gardener, unless you're lucky, you live like in a river plain or something. But again, what's important is you need to feed the soil. Don't look at the plant and just say, I just need to throw some 20-20-20 at it and see what happens. Focus on that soil, just like number one, soil trumps everything. Focus on that soil, put good nutrients, put compost, organic compost. A blend of those is preferred, so you kind of get all the nutrients. But go ahead and make sure you focus on feeding the soil, not the plant. And of course, not only you have compost, you can dress your beds every season or at least annually with fresh compost, not fresh, but with new compost. You can work it in the top 6 to 8 inches is good. But also there's organic fertilizers you can buy. Maybe it's a concentrate, maybe not. You mix it up with some water and you pour it over your plants, and it's organic, and that's what I want to stay is organic in my garden, right? So that's important. Number one, again, both 1 and 2 talk about soil. Soil trumps everything. Number 2 is feed the soil, not the plants. Go along with feeding the soil and not the plant is understanding if you can do any kind of crop rotation. I don't mean whole big acres like a farmer, but if you have a couple of raised beds, let's say, or even if you got a single raised bed, if you put a tomato here this season, try not to put one there, put one somewhere else next season. It's just when you repeat 2, 3, 4 years in a row, it's going to deplete everything that you want for that particular plant. So just move them around. It just helps out. It helps out Mother Nature. It helps out your soil stay nutrient dense and important to be able to feed the soil and not the plant. So number 3 is your watering practices. So if you don't water your plant at all, it's just going to die. You don't have enough rainfall, even though we have a fair amount here, here in South Louisiana at least. It's still enough in this kind of heat that we're in to really keep your plants going and be healthy and bountiful, right? You can overdo it, but if you use raised beds, that's one of the natural abilities of a raised bed. Since it's raised, you allow gravity to kind of help let that water release, and it'll go into the walkways. And so that's an important thing to remember. That it's kind of hard to overwater unless that water builds up. And it depends upon the soil that you have as well. There's 2 things I do from a watering standpoint. The first one is it really takes off the pressure. Is you have an automated watering system. So I have one, kicks on about 6 o'clock every morning, waters my garden. A good deep watering, and I got I think it's a 1-inch polypropylene line that I ran from my hose over there, and then dug it in where it comes up out of the walkways and comes up right in the raised beds. That's number 1. It takes off the pressure. So if you're like gonna go away for the weekend, no big deal. If you have to work late, no big deal. You know it's gonna get watered. In this heat, I will sometimes water it in the afternoon. Try to do it as early as possible, because that's the other thing is the best time to water is first thing in the morning, because it has all day to dry out. And I'm talking about the leaves and the stalks to dry out. One of the things that kind of leads to disease in your plants is having wet plants going into the dark, because your funguses, your viruses have a better chance to survive when it cools off a little bit and your plants are all wet. And now remember, one way to check your soil moisture, the old finger. Stick your knuckle in up to here, to your first knuckle, or stick your finger up to your first knuckle. If it's dry right here all the way to the tip, you need to probably give it some water. If it's moist, you can tell, then it's probably doing pretty good. The other thing about watering is there's watering kind of on the surface. So I come out here and I spray it. Every day I come out, when I water it and I spray it, I don't let it sink in. I just kind of spray it. All right, top looks good. I'm good. I'll move to the other raised bed. That's not the way you want to do it. What you want to do is make sure you water it in deep. What happens over time, what you want your plant to do is roots to go deep, get into those minerals and those kind of things. And the water, if you deep water, it allows those roots to go deep. Whereas if you water on top and it doesn't really soak in, your root systems just don't do as well as they could, and they try to stay shallow just to be able to access that water. So another thing to remember when you're watering. Number 4, pretty simple one, but grow what you can eat and what you can give away. I'm on the borderline. I love to garden. This is my stress-free zone back here. Yes, I grow some things probably more than I should, but I always give them away. I don't try not at all to let things go to waste. And it's easy to kind of get excited about your garden, planting all kind of stuff. Maybe try it one time if you haven't ever tried it, but if you don't like it and nobody in the house likes it and you can't give it away, it's kind of a waste. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're planting your raised bed gardens. We're now kind of in the middle of summer. There's going to be a latter summer season, fall. Then we still got, we can garden year round, guys, so we can garden into the winter. There's plenty of brassicas, cabbage. There's all kind of things we can grow once you get towards the latter part of the year when it cools off. And make sure you plan for that as well. And number five is just about variety. So that's part of why I got such a big garden. That's why I love gardening, is I do something new. I plant something new every year. Back here's some Jerusalem artichokes. I've never planted those. Wanted to see what they're like. Kind of cool. I planted some different squash back here just to see how they did. How did they do against the squash vine borer? And actually I found a couple that have done pretty well. But it's the variety is what's fun. You got a purple this. You can get tomatoes yellow, white, red, kind of blackish. Obviously striped. They got some that are kind of tie-dye look to them. Man, you can get anything you want. Different kinds of peppers, all different colors. It's just kind of fun to do that in my mind. That's what I have a lot of fun doing in my gardening, is to have different varieties. Number 6 is trellises. So it's especially important if you only have a small raised bed, you only got an area that's pretty small in your backyard. Even if you're in an apartment and all you got's a little balcony, whatever, you can put some containers out there and you can grow some stuff. So using a trellis to help go vertical as opposed to sprawling horizontal. So let's take cucumbers, perfect example. Cucumbers, man, they vine. I use a cattle panel, a piece of cattle panel that you allow it to just run through. I got 2 of those. I got these here. I got these 16-foot cattle panels that, man, I can let all these squashes run. Look at this thing here. I mean, crazy. But that works, gets it off the ground. Some just do better anyhow if they're a vining plant if you use a trellis. So go vertical. Don't have to always go horizontal. You can go vertical, get more advantage, optimization of the space you have available. And my final one is just really around staying organic, staying safe. I don't want my family or people I give food to have a whole bunch of pesticides and things of that nature. So harsh chemicals. So my suggestion and what I follow, of course, is organic. I don't do anything that's synthetic chemical. So for pesticide, I use like neem oil, BT. BT works on any kind of caterpillars. Works really good. The neem oil works on doggone near everything. Doesn't necessarily kill them, but it deters them, and it does a decent job from an organic perspective. Now you can go get, what is it, 7 Dust. that white powder, you could sprinkle it out all over the place. It would work. It would kill those bad bugs. Unfortunately, they don't discriminate, or the Seven Dust doesn't discriminate. So I'm gonna kill my bees. I'm gonna kill even wasps that are pollinators, butterflies. If they get into that, they touch it, they're dead too. And that's what we want to stick to the neem oil and BT. And neem oil, like if I go around, if I spray it on a bee, it's probably going to kill him. But you just got to be careful. Don't do it when they're out, you know, on that particular bush you're trying to spray. And it's still safe for them. All right, just 7 quick fundamental topics just wanted to kind of cover to help you achieve a bountiful harvest and make that thumb green. And that's what we're all about. Thanks for watching. Hey, and as always, we will see you in the next video.